Hi, everybody. If you're 45 or older, talk to your doctor, schedule a colonoscopy, or go online, order a box, crap in the box, send it in the mail, have them mail you stuff back. Just go for the colonoscopy. Tell the doctor you want to be out, put out for it, and it's a fun little ride, a little vacation. Make sure you have a ride to and from. Thank you very much. What we're doing today is we're adding honey supers to our beehive. Um, you don't want to be wearing black around the beehive, and I happen to have a black sweatshirt on when I came out here and wasn't paying attention, but that brings me up to the opportunity to show Catherine Latinsky my fish tattoo on my back. I drew that pattern and had it tattooed on me many, many years ago. Anyways, I told her I'd show her. Alright, so you want to keep the colony kind of in proportion with the hive, as far as you don't want too small amount of bees in too big amount of space, especially in Minnesota where we get a lot of cold weather. We just had frost 2 nights ago. We were bringing in honey or nectar. They were starting to change it into honey. They were changing the stuff in the hive body into honey. The stuff in the honey supers, they were just storing the nectar there, haven't started converting it as of yet. But you want to stay ahead of them by a considerable amount. They're already in this honey super here putting away nectar. There's bees in here actively working, cleaning, preparing. They have to have like circulation, air circulation in there, so they're working air from the bottom all the way through the top to evaporate moisture in the hive. One, to keep it cool, and two, when that nectar comes in, it's got, however many percent water to it. They want to make it honey, it has to be down to be like 17 or 18% water. So they have to evaporate a lot of water off. But you've probably seen a bee smoker, when they go into a hive, they'll smoke them. It doesn't particularly have to be any particular kind of smoke. Today we're using our favorite flower. Give me a second here. And it doesn't have to be much. Like right now we probably wouldn't have to use much, but they're starting to get a couple of them buzzing around me because I've been here preparing to speak to you guys today. Thanks everybody for hanging out. I suppose now my lighter ain't warm. But I always try and show you the opportunity, or give you the opportunity to see that these bees are really not out to harm you as long as you're not harming them for the most part. Other than mistakes happen, And all we're doing is taking this off, give you guys a quick look, and then I'm putting these boxes on and we're going to close it up. I didn't bring a hive tool, but I did have a hunk of something out here to use prior to now. You never want to stand directly in front of a beehive. Just walking in front of it now, I got smacked by one. Because they're coming in here at however many miles an hour. I think it might be like 30 miles an hour, if I'm not mistaken. All I'm going to do is pry on this top here to pop it loose. They glue everything together in the hive with something they produce out of their body called propolis. And it just so happens that the human race now, and probably for quite some time, have used propolis in a bunch of different cosmetics and other things. Boy, I just smacked him. He ain't going to be happy. He or she. So that's another thing. most of the bees in this hive right now are female. The queen and all the worker bees are female. They're going to start producing eggs. Actually, they started laying eggs. She started laying eggs in drone cells, which end up being the male bees. And the only job the male bees have is to eat and mate. And we're not going to let them have the chance to mate. So you'll see me throughout the year probably destroying male bee cells because they're really no use for me. And they're a drag on the colony because they'll consume honey. And I'm assuming the pollen and other stuff, you know. Anyways, since they started moving into this top box more, I figured I'd give them as much space as I have for them, right? I don't expect them to fill this whole space before I extract the first time. But I want them to feel like there's no restrictions, like they're not crowded at all, like they got all kinds of space in the world. And what that does is that prevents them from swarming. Swarming is when they feel crowded in the hive and they feel like, okay, we're a strong enough colony now because we're crowded in this space, we can form another colony. So what they'll do is they'll prepare queen cells if they haven't already, or queen cups, and then a queen will decide, okay, it's time to go. The queen will lay eggs in these queen cups to create the next generation of queens, basically. She sends out those eggs in queen cells, or queen cups, they turn them into queen cells, and then the queens that emerge from there, pretty much the first one that emerges goes around and kills all the rest of them before the other ones can hatch. But it's a way to ensure that there's somebody there that's strong and viable to take over. And then when that queen reaches maturity, she'll go on her maiden flight, go up about 500 or 150 feet or so, and the males out of the hive, and hopefully hives from the neighborhood or whatever, if anybody else has any bees, will then mate with that queen, and that's where you get your diversity of your genetics. So, if you get major changes in the weather, the genetics of some of those bees may be prepared to handle that, and so on and so forth, survival of the fittest, whatever. When I put these honey supers away, I put them away in what you would call a wet form. I extracted the honey from it, but two things you can do with them. You can take those frames, put them back on the hive, and the bees will clean them out and store the honey down here. What I've found is if you leave them wet, your foundation lasts longer. I don't know, if they're wet, you got to protect them from the elements a lot, kind of. You don't want them getting wet, okay? And then, or the humidity. And then you don't want varmints to get in there either. So, to try, ants to rats and mice or whatever. The other bees will get in there. Yellow jackets. I had yellow jackets coming in my stored hive boxes last year in the fall. So there's different pros and cons to it. Yeah, I don't know, but last time we looked in there, we were starting to hatch a lot of bees. So we're gonna say, I don't know, next week, possibly the week after, we'll come in here and make sure everything's going well. everything was going so well last time, I'm going to go on a limb that there ain't no queen activity going on there. But if I find some extra time, I will go through this hive, and I'll do it with you guys, and we'll search and see if there's any queen activity. I know there'll be some queen cups in there, but those queen cups were in there when we started this year. So other than that, that's what it's going to look like for the foreseeable future. I would say this we'll be harvesting something the first week of July, because I want to keep the spring stuff separate from the July stuff. Here in this area, I've got linden trees, and the lindens put off a spearmint / minty type honey, and I want to keep that separate from everything else. And the best way I've found is to extract the stuff that came up to the point of the linden tree blooming separate from this July stuff, which is the linden. It's actually late June to July. And then after that, the fall stuff, which is usually goldenrod here, which is really, really dark stuff, which I usually give to the bees. But we've been having a lot of hard times keeping these suckers alive through the winter, so who knows? Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you so much. And peace.